Hello, and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. I'm your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News. Black Minds News is to report, articulate, translate, communicate, insinuate, develop, investigate, unveil, decode, spread the news, whether by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I articulate this information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that we call the United States, we, the foundational black Americans, the bloodline historical lineage, the historical people known as slaves, we who call ourselves BADOS, Black American descendant of slaves. Some say Black African descendant of slaves. Others say American descendant of slaves. We, the today's children, offspring, and present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the motto of my show is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Today's date is October the 17th, 2019. Took a couple days off, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You be lackadaisical about getting over here, and then I sometimes just take a little hiatus myself. I know that's not good business policy, but you know, sometimes I got things I gotta do, and then obviously you got things that you're gonna do, so I guess you can be delayed when you come, and I guess I can be delayed till you show some consistency. I guess I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll just go with my long hair somewhere else, and then you just gonna have to find me. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do some update reporting on about the Atatiana Jefferson situation, and I'm kind of looking at it in a way that I think that maybe they trying to change the scenario up a lot. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to change the scenario up to make it a lighter sentence. That's the way I'm looking at it, right? Maybe some things are being tweaked and turned and said, and this been said and this been done, and then at the outcome, it won't be as heavy as you might think it might be. Now, I know some people out here saying that they're not going to put too much effort if they don't believe the family is going to be like those we've seen prior to, at least the case prior to, in this same state of Texas. And in this case here, I think that the Jefferson family is going to be entirely different than the Jean or the Jean family, right? So, got some reports, some news articles, and some clippings. Stay tuned as Black Minds News Report delve into an update on this particular topic. Stay tuned for this. Hey, how's y'all doing? Again, this is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds. I want to thank you for participating to the live Black Minds News Report. First and foremost, I mean, you should be in the house. Live subscribers, what's good, fam? Long time no see. Glad you could be over here. And if you happen to be a passerby, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Mr. Blow, how can you say you the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube? Well, been around for 7 years. Been back since 2012. Usually could get 2.25 million views, 50,000, 30,000, 20,000, 10, you name it, we was getting it. Also, we did the video on April 1st of 2014, rubbed a lot of people in the wrong way, made some people see things for what it truly is, and they went on attack mode to say, hey, we're going to suppress and make sure everything he talk about news, and it's a little bit different than what he used to do. But the news part is something we all need to know. So again, we did that, and we've been suppressed. So that's why I am the most hated show on the Black Corner Internet. You can go down the aisle, see some things that you should happen to like. But if you happen to see something that make you feel some kind of way, remember that the motto of the show is the truth don't need no partner. Now, let me go ahead and get up into this because, again, the last show that I did do was based on the simple fact that it was the killing of Atatiana Jefferson. Looked like there was a well-being, some people say well-being, and then they say welfare check. Black folks and welfare, some people that tickle their heart when you say welfare and black folks, right? So it was a welfare check that went awry, went wrong. Neighbor did the concerned neighbor, seen doors had been open, decided to call. Once that call was made, you would think that there's a protocol that, procedures that one that holds the badge and wears the uniform would do. But you know how things is when they first come out, a lot of stuff is being said, and then they have to gather all the information and try to come up one narrative that everybody is going to say. But as you got things when it first came out, it said something entirely different than what it says now. Now, what I'm going to do here is, again, give it a little update for the simple fact that goes like this. Let me show you this, right? Because they went and did an interview with a person who's an ex-cop, right? A person who worked on the Dallas Police Department. And maybe you didn't see this, but you know what Black Minds News do over here. We're going to make sure you get up to date with it. So check this out. Let me play this for you. Right? Let me make sure this is all good for everybody. And then, make sure again, because I got a couple people. Let me check it out. Okay, I got a couple people in the house. Okay, what's good? What's good, everybody? All right, so let's check this out. Let me do this for you right quick, and we shall be right back. We're going to do a little update for you. Look like I'm getting a little static over here. We want to make sure everything is running copacetic because it looked like I'm getting a little bit of packages somebody might be sending me. Let's see if we can get it going. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this for you first, and I got a video behind it. Check this out. When I get stopped. I'm going to say that again. Retired Fort Worth cop. I'm afraid when I get stopped. This story is coming out of CBS News, October the 15th, 2019. And this is how it reads. Fort Worth, Texas. Aaron Dean, a former white police officer, is out on bond after being arrested and charged with murder for shooting Atatiana Jefferson, a 28-year-old black woman, inside her Texas home. He was responding to a neighbor's call for a wellness check. Dean resigned before he could be fired from the Fort Worth Police Department Monday. The family is relieved Dean was arrested, but they said more needs to be done to change the police department. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca reports, we spoke to a retired Fort Worth officer who echoed that sentiment. As a black female former police officer, I'm afraid when I get stopped. LaHonda Young said Monday she said doesn't trust the department's officers and she feels Jefferson's death represents a clear breach of protocols. Officers are shooting before assessing the situation. Young said if that officer has simply knocked on the door, that young lady would be alive today. Body camera footage shows the moment he shot and killed Jefferson in her home Saturday. The video shows Dean never identified himself as a police officer. He was responding to a 2 a.m. wellness call from Jefferson's neighbor, who could be heard saying on the call, "The front doors have been open since 10 o'clock. But interim police chief Ed Krause said it may not have been clear there was no emergency. If they thought they had something more criminal, then a more tactical response would be warranted," Krause said. Jefferson's siblings, Ashley and Adrius Carr, said it is a sign the department has to change what their attorneys called a brutal culture of policing. No gun should have been out. There's no threat. Ashley said for Adrius, when he heard the gunshots came through a window, he thought, "That's drive-by material." Krause agreed there's no excuse for Dean's actions. "What can you tell members of the community who have told us incidents like this are why they do not trust Fort Worth police?" Villafranca asked him. "I tell them I get it," Krause said. "We're trying to ensure that they act and react with the servant's heart instead of a warrior's heart." While Dean has been charged with murder, the investigation won't end there. City officials in Fort Worth have presented a preliminary case to the FBI to review his actions for possible civil rights violations.
A white former police officer faces a murder charge this morning for shooting a black woman inside her Texas home. Aaron Dean posted bond overnight following his arrest late yesterday. He resigned earlier in the day before he could be fired from the Fort Worth Police Department. Dean shot 28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson as he was responding to a neighbor's call for a wellness check. Omar Villafranca is outside Fort Worth Police Headquarters. Omar, good morning. How are the victim's family reacting to this murder charge?
The family is relieved that the officer was arrested and charged with murder, but they're quick to say that this is not just about the officer, but the way the Fort Worth Police Department trains their officers. And we talked to a former Fort Worth cop who agrees and says the department needs to change.
As a black female former police officer, I'm afraid when I get stopped.
Former Fort Worth police officer LaRonda Young says she doesn't trust the department's officers, and she feels 28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson's death represents a clear breach of protocol.
Officers are shooting before assessing situations. If that officer had simply knocked on the door, that young lady would be alive today.
Officer Aaron Dean resigned yesterday. Body cam footage shows the moment he shot and killed Jefferson in her home on Saturday.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
The video shows Dean, who's now charged with murder, never identified himself as a police officer.
Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock.
He was responding to a 2 a.m. wellness call from Jefferson's neighbor, but interim police chief Ed Krause said it may not have been clear there was no emergency.
If they thought they had something more criminal, then a more tactical response would be warranted.
Jefferson's siblings Ashley and Adarius Carr say it's a sign the department has to change what their attorney called a brutal culture of policing.
No gun should have even been out. There was no threat.
When you heard the gunshot came through a window, what was your response?
That's drive-by material.
Police Chief Krause agrees there's no excuse for Dean's actions.
What can you tell members of the community who have told us incidents like this are why they do not trust Fort Worth police?
I tell them I get it. We're trying to ensure that they act and react with a servant's heart instead of a warrior's heart.
Dean was charged with murder, but the investigation will not stop there. In fact, Fort Worth city officials have handed over a preliminary case to the FBI to look into possible civil rights violations. We are expecting an update on the criminal case later on this morning. Anthony?
Such an upsetting story, Omar. Thank you.
All right. So that was that, right? And again, for those who might be new over here, all right, you might be new over here. So what we do, this is what I do prior before I do that. So I should have did that already, but check this out. I'll be right back. All right, so we back. So accordingly, there was an article that did on CBS where it talked about the Fort Worth, Texas situation where they got a retired cop, which was a sister, as we've seen there, right? Yonda Young, I think her name is, right? And so what we see, she said, is that she's afraid, is actually who used to be a Dallas cop, that she said, I'm afraid when I see the lights and they pulling me over, right? That's firsthand. Somebody who knows the job and then now becomes a civilian on the other side, kind of feel like majority of we as BADOS and ADOS feel when we see those lights behind us. And again, as the scenario goes as to what took place on that October 12th night or morning, right? Because I guess it was Friday, Saturday morning, right? 2:30 in the morning. And as you seen, just was you reviewed as the video. A lot of things, again, as we talk about protocols, seem to not have been followed. That normally you would think that, again, if a neighbor's calling and trying to get a well-being check, but again, as we go on in the show, you're going to see how they're tweaking that. They're trying to tweak these, wordplay. Because, you got to remember that sometimes people play with words. Words have different meanings and different definition. And so they may say well-being check, and then it now depends on was it emergency or was it a non-emergency, which again, if under the heading it should say, well-being or welfare check, it doesn't matter. You're not going there for anything criminality, robbery, none of that. So there should never been no gun drawn. So we see that according to what happened on that Saturday morning, 2:30, we see that Aaron Dean resigned on Tuesday, right? Now that was Friday night, Saturday morning, and he resigns Tuesday, right? Now, any y'all who ever been in a position to work someplace, if you get that 3-day notice, right, you terminate on the 3rd day when you come back in, right? Now, in the situation when it comes to municipalities and civic servants, is it the same 3 days? Is it 3-day suspension? Or should that have been immediately, was he suspended without pay? We never heard none of that. We heard that Ed Krause, I'm going to go ahead and give you some visions of some of the people who I'm talking about here. We're going to say that the individual here, let me see if I got him here. Let's see. Okay, we're going to say the individual here. Looks like I got the wrong picture on this one here. Okay, so we see that he says that he was going to fire him. As if like, okay, what happened after Saturday when that took place and the investigation has started? Okay, that's Saturday. What about Sunday? You can't get fired on a Sunday? You can't get fired on a Monday. Oh, we're going to wait till Tuesday. So we're going to say that, again, you allow time to elapse after this situation take place because, one, they did not identify who this individual was from the time of shooting. And you know what else is another mystery, y'all? Where did she get shot at? Do anybody know? Let me look out. Maybe somebody here know, because I have not been able to figure out where she was shot at. Was she shot in the face? Was she shot in the head? Where was she shot at? Where was she shot? That has not been disclosed. Yeah, El Cabell, what's up, my brother? I see you out there. So where was she shot at? That wasn't disclosed, right? No, we don't know what happened there, right? So let me go ahead and let me show this here. So just to give you some visual, so you just fact, right? So we're gonna just say it here, right? So that's the individual. That's Aaron Dean, police officer, and that's the sister there, Atatiana Jefferson, right? Who was, shot. So we see he resigned. But my question becomes, how can you resign? You can't be fired first. You can resign before being fired. Now, I understand that people do resignation for the simple fact that they want to leave on their own. They believe they're leaving on their own accord, right? Let's say hypothetically, you at your job. Let's say you working in the capacity that you have to deal with somebody. Let's say cashier, something like that. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Somebody you interacting with a person, a customer, and the person is out of pocket with you, where it becomes confrontational, verbal, and to the point you want to get physical. Now, a lot of times people will not take it to, the people who have been the employee will not lash out because the thing that hinders you is the fact that you're going to lose your job, right? So a lot of people take advantage of the situation, be like, you know what I'm saying? Woo, 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 woo. You be like, so if you say your boss or your manager sitting right next to you, and you turn to him and say, you know what, I resign. And then you just start mollywopping this mug that's across you, right? Now, saying you resign, does that relinquish you for the simple fact that you was just an employee just because you said you resigned, that you still, all that is not attributed to you just because of the simple fact that you resigned? Or is that a so-called trick in the bag for something later on that allows them to come back later on and go somewhere else? You get what I'm saying? Because you was on duty when all that took place, right? Think about it. You was on duty when all that took place, and the simple fact that ain't there unions? So you're not really pretty much done with it. You got to still go through the process. But I'm still trying to figure out how did it linger so long for him to have to be, again, he's being non-compliant if y'all didn't know, right? He, again, to get his statements, he refused. Then the lawyer was like, well, we're going to give a statement later. Then after the fact, they don't get none. But what I'm trying to show y'all is that it looks like you're getting all the other side so we can come up with a way how we're going to design our defense based on everything that has been laid out. What do you mean, Mr. Blummer? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. So we see that this interview was done with Omar Villafranca, who interviewed Yolanda Young. And she says out of her own mouth that she don't trust where she used to work. She said she don't trust the department, right? That she don't trust them. And you had to say, wait a minute. What do you mean you don't trust them? You used to work for them, right? You used to work for them. How could somebody who used to work for someplace, then all of a sudden now you don't even trust them, right? Because again, they know the ins and outs. They work there on a daily basis. And we know that the percentages in any department is never going to be black folks is going to be the predominant in numbers on a force. You're going to be, again, a segment, the tokens, you get all that, right? And so based on the culture that is going to be of that fraternity, is going to be under the same as we being subjugated in this country under white dominance and white supremacy and so forth, white inferiority, whatever you want to call it. And so they know they have to get in to fit in. And they know certain things that go on. But again, they say they got a blue shield, right? Blue wall, right? That they all protect, sworn to protect, and so on, up to this brotherhood, fraternity, sorority, whatever you want to call that. And so here's an ex one who's saying, based on what she knows firsthand, that, hey, after now not wearing the uniform and just being out here, then she threw in, I'm a black woman. Now, I don't understand why you always want to try to separate your blackness by gender. black is black no matter whether you female nor male. Shouldn't we see that by now? Did not Atatiana Jefferson catch the hot one? Had nothing to do with it because she was a female, right? Now, only person that can really say from the perspective that they were looking is Aaron Dean as to what was the true understanding he was at that particular time. Only he and the creator gonna know that, right? But we're gonna look at how they changing this scenario up for what they setting up or down the line. And also we got to look at the fact that there's a lot of commingling here, right? They're mixing up a lot of stuff. You just finished off the Botham Jean situation, got the Amber Geiger situation, then we had the Joshua Brown situation, now we got the Atatiana Jefferson, right? All this is still, so, Botham Jean situation is pretty much the one that's, is kind of dying out. That's over with. The family, they cool with whatever the whole situation, but then there was the Joshua Brown came. Now the Amber Geiger situation isn't over with, right? Think about it. The Amber Geiger situation is not over with because it's going to appeal. And I've seen some videos as I took a couple of days off. I was looking at some of the other shows and stuff that people saying, and I heard some things that was just like, damn, wait a minute, these cats were a little bit older, and they were saying to the fact that because reports and, let's say, these institutions are saying one thing makes it legitimized because they said it. And I'm looking like, wait a minute, bro, hold on. They said in the Joshua Brown situation, the drug deal, so that makes that legitimate because they said, and you say, yep, black folk, he had weed, and he would smoke weed, and then them boys, you just took that first, we don't know. That hasn't, okay, we ain't heard no more about that. Think about it, I ain't heard no more, and I do news, I'm looking for, I ain't seen no updates on none of that. So is this chess being played here? Is what you got to ask yourself. A situation arises. I'm not trying to say that they set this situation up with the Atatiana Jefferson. A situation arise that could be, not that it was planned, but it happened. But again, it's going to be able to do what? Mask over some of the other stuff that we got going on. Because it just seems all this is in the same place, right? This is all. These are all within proximity of each other, right? Same department, right? So I'm just saying that as they were saying here in this video, she don't trust it. She said it was a clear breach of protocol. And that's what it was. Again, you can improvise when they out there. See, that's when the all-seeing eye, which is the camera, if that camera's not there, then it's like you can get away with, and it's only because what the reports will say and the credibility based on the preponderance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 officers all in cahoots saying one thing versus what you saying, their words take more weight than you. Because you would think in a rationale of just thinking that they don't have no horse in this race, why they got to lie? Right? They ain't got no reason to lie. But then again, we come to find out as more and more of these cases are being revealed that may not be as true as we think. And so here's somebody from the inside who's saying the same thing, saying, hey, even I get nervous. Even I don't feel too good when I see them coming up on me. She says that, that it seems like these policies, which is accordingly shoot first, ask questions later, right? It used to be, once upon a time going back, it used to be police used to impair you, right? To impair means to disarm you. Oh, back in the those that used to watch them old westerns, you remember that he didn't want to kill you, and you pulled the gun, and he when there's a warrior need to be exude in certain situations. Oh, so they disconnected me. Oh, okay, here you go. Am I off again? Am I back on? Hold on. So they cut me again. All right, hold on. Hey, y'all, Abdul Kabir, am I still on? because I see that they cut my system here. And just give me a 1 or 2. 2 meaning no, 1 meaning yeah. Because it seemed like all of a sudden my system had cut off for me. And I'm not sure how long I've been cut off. But I see what you're saying, cause and effect in left shoulder. Right. That used to be, that's the way it used to be. So they came in and they left out whoever it was. They just did that and ran up out of here. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, whoever it was 2 up. It was 5 up in here. 2 just ran up out soon. I said, that's them doing that. But anyway. So, yeah, they used to try to impair you, right? They would impair you, make sure that, disarm you. It ain't that no more. It's, again, shoot the threat till the threat is. So, again, warrior mentality is proceeding over just a natural servant, which is what they, the mantra is serve and protect the public. So, again, this dude only had been he only been since 2017. He ain't even been in there a hot second, right? No more than 16 months, 18 months he been on the job, right? And again, improvising on a situation that seemed to be like, well, just go check and see if somebody okay. Now, we don't know why the doors are open. I assume or made the assumption that because she was playing the video game with the shorty, maybe the shorty being 8 years old, elated because auntie playing video games with him, maybe had him go run to the car, do something. And, 8 years old, you kind of like lackadaisical about stuff. So he rushing, doing stuff, and he left door open, right? He ain't closed the door. Grown folk gonna close that door because we understand safety, security. You understand? They say Dracula can't get in if you don't allow him in, right? So with that being said, that made what it was. So the neighbor who's seen it does what he do. He goes, right? Get him over there, right? So why is it that instead of just, again, doors already open, you could yell it out? Police officers, we here to see if everything okay. But they parked the car across the street. So if you pulled up in the driveway with your lights just on, I say the flashing lights, maybe she'd have seen the light just like you seen the lights of the flashlight. Like, who that driving up? You know what I'm saying? You got a house and somebody, who that driving up my driveway like that, right? Right? So, but that didn't happen. So now we sneaking around. That's dangerous in itself. You sneaking around. Okay, I understand. Now what you got is you got two different scenarios. Again, as I always talk about when the Trayvon Martin situation was, everybody took it from George Zimmerman's mind state that he's this so-called neighborhood watch, right? His perspective, again, for the title that he says he's watching to make sure nothing is out of the ordinary in the community, and it's his job to report and to be eyes and ears when everybody else is doing what they doing. But that's his perspective. But you're looking at somebody else who's doing what they doing and don't know who you is, because again, you have no marking of your car, you have no lights. So you just somebody driving by who follow me. And again, as I say, old school 70 movies that's how old school 70 movies started off, didn't it, y'all? Car, somebody walking, showing somebody feet walking, and the car driving slow. Then the person who walking start recognizing the car, start picking up their speed, and the car start moving, they start running, the car start going, right? Suspicion, something ain't right. So from his position, he don't know who you is. Same thing scenario here. You got a call to do what you were supposed to do, but if you did it the right way, this would alleviate the situation. But you start to improvise and do something that really didn't call for that. Because again, it wasn't a call about a robbery, a burglary. It was called, we just want to make sure is everything okay over there. But you again, they said you're doing too much. So now, here's somebody in the house who don't even know you there. Have no knowledge of you. And all I see is some lights flashing. And I got a shorty with me. I'm in the house. I'm a female. Ain't nobody else in here but me. So what she did, again, right? Now, again, we don't know this. But this is what's been told us, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, so it goes on, and she said, they are saying now that based on the call that was made by the neighbor, we saying well-being welfare check. But now they trying to say, well, we're not sure if the officers knew whether it was emergency or not. Does it even matter? Does it even matter? Doesn't matter on a welfare check whether it's emergency or not. It don't matter, right? Because you still got to make sure that, according to what I did the last show, I told you, according to the law says that they have the right to not even have to have a search warrant in that situation. Doors all open like that. If they'd address themselves, announce themselves, knock on the door, ring the doorbell, nobody, they could have came in because it was coming on a well check. None of that. None of that. So now they want to say, well, we're not sure about this, we're not sure if they understood that or not. And so we see that they're saying that there's a charge of they call it a brutal culture of policing. Brutal culture. Well, this brutal culture, based on we as black people, historically, the inceptions of what became an officer was an overseer, the patty roll. Oh, we know about that. We understand the brutality culture of it, and systemic with the history that black folks and it go hand in hand. So it ain't nothing new to us. It's just that it's becoming more, let's say, knowledgeable now. That, again, the stuff we've been saying, that everybody say, oh, black people always complaining and always. But we're starting to see that, maybe, but again, the problem is it's too deep. The boa constrictor is too deep. It done got, you know what I'm saying? You can't get him off. He too deep now. And I'm going to show what I'm talking about. Well, keep going. So, based on, what done took place, you see that the chief came out and he agreed that there was no reason for the actions of the officer to do what he had did. Right? And that there's no trust from the community. And if you heard what was said, he says, the chief said, I get it. He get what the community is saying about not having the trust. And that he's saying, I ain't gonna go there. All right, so I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, so anyway, so again, we see that situation take place, but I want you to see this, because I was looking hard to try to find, let me see if I got that. Let's see. Is that the one? That's not it here. Because I want to show y'all the window, right? Where's the weapon at? I'm supposed to have that down here. Hold on, y'all. Because I had that already. All right, let me see. Don't have that on here. Okay, so I'm going to have to pull it up. So, anyway, when you see, and let me go ahead and pull that up. Let me go and pull that up. Because you need to see that. Because I was trying to look at the fact that when he did that shot, let's see, because everything's a little slow up over here. I really don't want to do this because it's already janky as it is. I don't know if it's going to work. Okay, maybe it come up. All right. A little slow about it. All right, so his partner had said something, but remember, he's not saying anything. He refused to give any report. You know what I'm saying? He just resigned. And so let me show you what that window looked like up close. Let me see if I got it here. Kind of funny I had all that stuff up in there, but all of a sudden now I don't see it. So let's see. Here it go. All right, here it go. All right, so let me move this up here. So let you see this. Why the? Okay, come on. Why is not showing it? What's going on here? Hold on. Oh, we gotta go up one more. All right, so let's check this out. I want you to see this, right? Now you see that there, right? That's the window that they showing that the shot came through. Right? Look like there's a screen on there too. Look like a screen on there. Right? So I'm not seeing that the screen look like it's penetrated though. So I don't know if they put the screen on after the fact or was that there. And I was also looking at the shades there, the blinds. Right? So was the blinds up or was the blinds down? Right? The reason why I'm saying that is because if them blinds was down, then what did you see when you shot? Did you just see the shadow? Did you just see the shadow? Because according to the way I'm assuming that if a bullet, I would have assumed that it would have shot through in one of those blinds, knocked it, or it just went through and we can't really see, but I'm just assuming. Was that up? Was it down? Because that makes a difference. Because let me show you something what the partner had said too. But first, before I go there, let me read you this, what they said. Let me read you this. Check this out. Let me read you this. The woman killed by a Fort Worth cop in her home had pointed a gun out the window. Her nephew said, "You know I'm going to say that again." The woman killed by a Fort Worth cop in her home had pointed a gun out the window. Her nephew said. This story is coming out of BuzzFeed News. October the 15th, 2019. Under the caption says, a title, it makes sense that she would have a gun if she felt that she was being threatened or there was someone in the backyard. Fort Worth intern police chief said. This is how it reads. Just moments before she was shot and killed by a Fort Worth police officer inside her home, Atatiana Jefferson told her nephew she heard someone outside, so she got her handgun from her purse and pointed it out a window, according to an arrest warrant affidavit released Tuesday. Standing on the other side of the window that Saturday night in Texas was Aaron Dean, who never identified himself as a police officer despite yelling for Jefferson to put her hands up, according to the affidavit. He then fired through the window, killing Jefferson, 28, in her home. At a news conference Tuesday, interim police chief Ed Krause, who has said he would have fired Dean had he not resigned, defended Jefferson's decision to arm herself. It makes sense that she would have a gun if she felt that she was being threatened or there was someone in the backyard, Krause said. Fort Worth police have been criticized by Jefferson's family and members of the community after including a picture of the handgun while releasing information about the deadly police shooting. No information about where the gun was in relation to Jefferson had been released at the time. But on Tuesday, the news document the new documents revealed Jefferson had been holding the weapon at the time of the shooting, and that she believed someone was on her property when she grabbed it moments before the shooting. S. Lee Merritt, an attorney representing her family, has pointed out that Jefferson was inside her own home and licensed to own and carry the gun. Criticized the two officers who responded for not identifying themselves at the scene. He also criticized the police department, saying it had provided Dean with a defense within the arrest warrant, even though Krause had publicly condemned the shooting. It's only appropriate that Miss Jefferson would have a gun, Merritt told reporters Tuesday. When you think there's someone prowling around in the back at 2 a.m. in the morning, you may need to arm yourself. According to the warrant, Jefferson had been playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew in the bedroom when she told him she had heard noises outside the window. Her nephew told police she took the handgun and pointed it at the window right before she was shot. Officer C.A. Darch, Dean's partner, told investigators she saw Jefferson's face through the window when Dean fired his weapon. But the warrant does not say whether the officer saw Jefferson holding the weapon before firing. According to the affidavit, Dean declined to give investigators an interview. Instead, his attorney told police he would give a written statement later. However, on Monday, Dean resigned from the Fourth Ward Police Department and refused to provide the written statement. Dean was later taken into custody and booked on suspicion of murder. He was released after posting a $200,000 bond. Merritt, at a press conference with Jefferson's family, said they were encouraged by Krause and Fourth Ward Mayor Betsy Price, acknowledging some of the mistakes made during the shooting, but said the police department policies and training also contribute to the incident. We're not used to a mayor or a police chief making those kinds of statements, but right now they're just words until she actually comes up with some policies and practices and put them into play, he said. All right, so that is the report. Again, let me show you where I got that from. So you see that there, right? The woman killed by a Fort Worth cop in her home had pointed a gun out the window. Now look what they said, out the window. I want you to see what they show when they post, right? It looks like there's a screen. Now, I know because you're seeing it from your computer, but if you look good, there's a screen there, right? So I don't know about no point out the window, right? And we'll talk about some other stuff that was just said in this article. So now, accordingly, what's also strange is the fact that they're getting the testimony from the nephew, right? But they're not saying, they saying from an affidavit. Now, who wrote the affidavit? Now, who wrote the affidavit? It's saying what he said, right? You question the 8-year-old and ask him about that. So this is giving you credit. This is how you're getting your side. But again, here's the individual who did it that does not have to give no testimony. Did y'all notice that? He refusing to say anything. How do you get to refuse and get bonded out and you ain't got to give no statement or nothing as to what took place? We can't give you no bond until we get your statement. You have to sit up in here. How do you get out and you don't have to corroborate with none of the investigation? Oh, we're going to give you a letter later. We'll talk about it later. So what happens is we're getting everything on the other side to build what? Our defense on our side. Do I need to say that again? So I get everything from the other side. We got the nephew, so I guess eventually, is they going to have that 8-year-old boy have to testify? Is that what they going to try to do? Right? Because according to what they said, he gives you from the perspective of an 8-year-old. That doesn't mean that a kid is not going to be truth. You know, kids tell the truth until they get tainted, right? They tell the truth. But why they allow him to be able to do that without, was there presence of the parents or representation of lawyer? Again, because we got to remember that look what happened here. And look what's done happen in, again, the whole proximity of this state of the situation. They got the Botham Jean with the Amber Geiger situation, then the Joshua Brown situation, right? And now we got this one. So we have to be we have to protect him, right? You got to protect this little one because, again, he could be in danger too. Something mysteriously happened to him, right? Now, we're not wishing that on, but we're just saying we have to look at things in that sense because, again, a lot of stuff is just not making sense. People want to tell us some people from Louisiana came all the way looking for weed. And that's and I hear some people sitting in these these shows they talking about, and they actually co-signing it and don't know nothing. We ain't heard no more about none of that, and yet you co-sign it as if, like, again, the Amber Geiger situation isn't over with because it got the appeal. So what does that got to do with that? Oh, wait a minute. So if they're going to do the appeal, then everybody's talking about what the situation with the judge and the inappropriateness of what the judge, Miss Tammy, right? With Miss Tammy, right? And now, if you can somehow, with that situation over here with Joshua Brown, his credibility ain't too good, is it? How do we take a person, you know what I'm saying? Chess. This could be chess moves. Again, I'm not saying the situation that happened here with Atatiana Jefferson, but I'm just saying now this has been thrown in because it's going to help. Right? So anyway. So we see that they said the nephew said that they heard someone outside. And Atatiana went to a purse and got a handgun. Now, accordingly, the article says point out the window. When you see that video, you see nothing outside the video. It's kind of blurry for the simple fact, and I try to catch as much as I can. Because what I wanted to see, as you see on your screen there, I was trying to see that damn blind, was it down? Because if that blind is down, that speaks volume. Now you seeing on your screen that blind is down. If that blind was down, which means you didn't see nothing but either the silhouette shadow, if that be the case, and you just fired. But again, I can't catch what I need to see it so I can have it concrete. But I'm working on it. Right? So anyway, they said despite the fact that the officer Aaron Dean yells, "Put your hands up." By him saying that, is they trying to make it seem like he's kind of identifying himself? Who talks like that, right? Who talks like that? Who wants to say, "Put your hands up," other than the fact that I did the other day about that, pick it up, Peggy. Get down on your knees and pick it up. Right? She was talking like a police, telling that young brother to do that, right? What? But that's verbiage of who? Police. They the ones talk like that, right? So are they trying to insinuate that he kind of identifies himself? He just didn't give you time. He didn't get time to respond. But if, according to what Shorty is saying, that she was sitting there with the gun pointed at him, that's what Lee Mayer said. Oh, you're trying to set up a defense. So I said, according to the affidavit, right? Now, again, whose affidavit is this? Because we said that Aaron Dean, right? Aaron Dean did not corroborate with investigation. So the affidavit is coming from who? Other officers who did what? Did a interview with the little one and so forth. Is that where this coming from? So again, let me show you this, and I'm gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna come back to this. I'm gonna show you this. I want us to be aware of the fact when we saying that again. Now, see, some people say, "Well, you see, you're going against police." And no. That's not, no. Accountability on everybody's side. When we on the other side, then we got to be accountable. And then when it's on your side, you got to be too. Don't just because somebody, like some people will take the fact that just because people got a badge, gun, they're honorable. It might be an honorable job, but that don't mean that every employee in there is honorable. Well, check this out. What happened? Remember those again who are avid watchers of my show? We did the Laquan McDonald story. Do you not know just a couple days ago, matter of fact, on October 9th, they dropped this. She got shot, October 12th, 11/12? They just dropped this on October 9th. Check this out. Let me be right back. Let me show you this. Hold on. Let me show you something. Like I said, I am the most hated show on the black corner of YouTube. If you didn't know that, you're going to figure it out. So again, just a little technical difficulty. I will get it off. Hold on one second.
Now to the lies and the cover-ups by Chicago police officers involved in the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. Late today, we got our hands on one secret report, and CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey has been digging into the findings, looking into why the city's inspector general recommended firing a dozen officers.
Today we received 16 reports for the 16 officers connected to the October 20th, 2014 shooting of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. They were under lock and key for 3 years until today.
How many shots? 16 shots! How many shots? 16 shots!
16 is also the number of bullets fired by Officer Jason Van Dyke, fatally striking McDonald. The Office of Inspector General says Van Dyke lied and dodged investigators from the OIG. It also thoroughly documents the ways that the OIG says Van Dyke's police officer colleagues lied for him, filed false reports, failed to activate their cameras, and even loaded the batteries in their microphones upside down. The OIG says they exaggerated the threat that McDonald posed, and their actions prevented CPD from collecting potentially important, objective, technology-based evidence of the McDonald shooting.
16 shots and a cover-up!
The report also gives startling details from the Cook County Sheriff's officers, who said when they arrived on the scene, McDonald was lying on the pavement, quote, gasping for his last breath of air. Meanwhile, CPD officers were, quote, standing around and talking to each other. The report also included this odd safety bulletin mentioned in the trial. Van Dyke said he knew that McDonald was armed with a knife, but he recalled a bulletin like this, warning of a weapon that appeared to be a knife but was capable of firing a bullet. McDonald's weapon did not turn out to be a revolver knife.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
So what happened to the OIG recommendations? In July, 3 police officers and a police sergeant were fired. Sergeant Stephen Franco, officers Janet Mondragon, Daphne Sebastian, and Ricardo Viramontes. You'll remember that in January, 3 current and former Chicago police officers were acquitted of criminal charges. They were Officer Joseph Walsh, Officer Thomas Gaffney, and ex-detective David March. Now, we confirmed other officers retired or resigned in the years since the shooting. Today, CPD confirmed that only one of the remaining officers, Dora Fontaine, is still employed by the department. Live in the newsroom, Megan Hickey, CBS 2 News.
All right, I want to apologize for that because I was doing 2 things at the same time. Maybe it might be better now. So again, so that was what they had dropped about what happened with the Laquan McDonald Jason Van Dyke's story, right? Remember how long when that story originally broke, it took about almost 3-4 years for them to get to the case. And then they set it back and they held out. They said that this information about the OIG, right, is when they did the investigation, and there was the stuff that was sitting on that actually could have been more credible on the part of the case. And again, a lot of people who were involved as police officers who did what? Who were in cahoots to collaborate with the lie. To again, people understand that. We understand when you try to protect somebody, they're in a situation. We understand that, right? That's fraternization, partner, family. We understand that. But in that case, they look at the stuff that they was reaching, trying to make that square peg in a round hole fit, right? Like, if you are familiar what happened with the Laquan McDonald situation, right? Remember they said he had a knife and he was wielding it, and then accordingly they said that he came at him. Remember they said they was using this as propaganda to try to say, well, see, he had a knife, and there had been some, a memorandum or a memo came out that was talking about these knives that could shoot a bullet, and we think maybe he had that, using that as a defense, right? They're trying to use that as a defense. Like, wait a minute, man, when y'all got his knife and did that, can you say that now? But yet they were trying to use that in court, right? They were trying to use that. So it's like, you get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, you trying to get yourself out of a situation, and that's what you'll do. But in a case like this, I'm trying to say that his partner had said that he could see her head. He could see her head, but yet Aaron Dean was in front of him, and Aaron Dean is in front of her. And depending on what, position or angle he's coming from, he say he cannot disclose the fact whether he's seen a gun or not, right? He can't say. And they don't have the testimony from Aaron Dean saying anything. But they got the nephew saying, oh, she had the gun and was pointing it. Now, we don't know we don't know if this is propaganda. This is stuff that they putting out there to be, heard, for us to be regurgitating this, so we can be spreading this around, and may not have been because they say out the window. Again, I see a screen on there. All right? I see a screen. So anyway. So we see that, again, Lee Merritt, brother, every time the situation happens, seems like he's the one that he's going to be the go-to, right? People out here, again, they say, like ambulance chasers type of lawyers, right? Type of situation. Again, you seem like you kind of like that Crump, right? Again, a lot of people, again, look at the situation of him. He don't be winning, but he's always kind of like how Jesse and Al Sharpton used to be every time a situation come. Here they come, right? All right, but if I ain't seeing nobody in the courtroom though. You get what I'm saying? I see you on the TV, I see you doing the interview, but I ain't seeing nobody in the courtroom holding the proceeding in the trial. Have y'all noticed that? I ain't seen them. Like when it was Trayvon Martin, you would have thought that Crump would have been in there. No, that wasn't. It was a state, right? So I guess somebody was kind of mentioning that, saying that they just the negotiators. Because it's normally the cases that they're picking up is like it's going to be the state going to pick it up versus, Anyway, moving on, right? It is what it is, right? So Lee Merritt says that has pointed out that the fact that Jefferson was inside her home, she had the license to carry the gun, and he also was criticizing the two officers who responded by not identifying themselves at the scene. He also criticized the police department, saying that it had provided Dean with the defense within the arrest warrant. Okay. Now the arrest warrant, is that for Dean? Because you're not arresting nobody on the Jefferson side. So there's an arrest warrant for Dean. But on the arrest warrant, there's some stuff, ain't he supposed to say some stuff? So who's talking on behalf of the arrest warrant if he's not collaborating to give any testimony to the investigation? Now, but who's speaking? That's the mystery to me. Who's speaking on the arrest warrant about all this other stuff that took place? His partner? Is that what it is? Maybe the partner doing all the talking, huh? And so it goes on about it's only appropriate that Miss Jefferson would have a gun when you think that someone's prowling around at 2 a.m. and you need to arm yourself. And so again, they land the fact that she's armed. Now, nobody knows that. We don't know because we haven't heard from the little one, and most likely probably not going to hear that what they saying. So that's what I'm saying. Is this propaganda? Is this fact? Or is this rhetoric? What is this? Because the father did speak, right? I got what the father spoke. Let me show you this. Well, before I go there, let me take you here. Let me take you over here. Read this to you right quick. Be right back. Hold on. Check this out. Former cop who killed black woman in her home, charged with murder. You know I'm going to say that again. Former cop who killed black woman in her home, charged with murder. This story was done October the 14th, 2019, coming out of CBS News, and this is how it reads. A former police officer who resigned Monday after fatally shooting a black woman in her home was booked in jail for murder. According to the Fort Worth Police Department, Aaron Dean, who was white, fatally shot 28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson early Saturday morning as she played video games with her nephew. Dean was originally held on $200,000 bond. The Tarrant County Jail confirmed that he has since bonded out. Fort Worth Police Department said the officer responded at about 2:25 a.m. Saturday after a neighbor called a non-emergency line to report that Jefferson's home front door had been left open. The department added that officers saw someone near a window inside the home and that one of them fired after perceiving a threat. The video released by police shows two officers searching the home from the outside with flashlights before one shouts, "Put your hands up! Show me your hands!" One shot is then fired through a window. The officer does not identify himself as police. The family of Atatiana Jefferson is relieved that Aaron Dean has been arrested and charged with murder. Family attorney Lee Merritt wrote on Twitter, "We need to see this through to a vigorous prosecution and appropriate sentencing. The city of Fort Worth has much work to do to reform a brutal culture of policing." At a news conference Monday afternoon, Police Chief Edwin Cross announced that Dean had resigned and apologized for Jefferson's death. Cross said he intended to fire the officer Monday for violation on the department's use of force and de-escalation policies. Nobody looked at that video and said there's any doubt that this officer acted inappropriately. Cross said, "I get it. We're trying to train our officers better. We're trying to shore up our policies, trying to ensure that acts and reacts the way the citizens intend them to, that they act and react with a servant heart instead of a warrior's heart." Dean was hired by the department in 2017 and had been an officer since 2018, Krause said. He had been involved in a traffic accident but had no other previous disciplinary incidents on his record. Responding to a reporter's question about how the incident affect trust between the police department and the community, Krause said, "I get it," and said reform efforts are underway. An independent police monitor and third-party panel of experts are being brought in to review the police department, an effort that was underway before Jefferson's death, according to the city manager. Jefferson had moved into her mother's home because her mother had been in failing health and was recently hospitalized. The family said she often helped care for her young nephew, including 8-year-old Zion. Mary said Jefferson stayed up late playing video games with the boy and had lost track of time when they heard noise outside her bedroom window. Police said the officers didn't park their marked vehicle in front of the home, instead parking nearby and walking to the home. Mayor said the officers passed 2 open doors and never announced themselves, instead prowling and whispering outside. According to Mayor, the child said his aunt wouldn't let him go to the window to investigate, instead going herself. That's when he saw her fall to the ground. I asked myself what would have happened had that little boy went to the window instead of his auntie, Merritt said. A single bullet hole was visible in the window of the single-story, fleshly painted purple home, and floral tributes and stuffed animals piled up in the street outside. She was enjoying the life in her home where no one would have expected her life to be in harm's way, especially not at the hands of a civil servant who has taken an oath to serve and protect, said Jefferson's sisters, Ashley Carr. Fort Worth is about 30 miles west of Dallas, where another high-profile police shooting occurred last year. In that case, Dallas police officer Amber Geiger fatally shot her black neighbor, Botham Jean, inside his own apartment after Geiger said she mistook it for her own. Geiger, 31, was sentenced this month to 10 years in prison. According to the demographic reports released by the Fort Worth Police Department, nearly 2/3 of its 1,100 officers were white. As of June 30th, just over 20% were Hispanic or Latino, and about 10% were black. The Fort Worth Police Officers Association issued a statement Sunday calling for a thorough and transparent investigation into the shooting. Fort Worth Police said they released the body cam footage soon as the shooting for the transparency, but that any camera footage inside the residence could not be distributed due to state law. The body cam video include blurred steel frames showing a gun inside the home. It's unclear if the firearm was found near Jefferson, and police have not said that the officer who shot her thought she was holding a gun. Mayor blasted the police department for releasing the image, which he said was legally owned by Jefferson, who had a concealed carry permit. He said the firearm is unrelated to the Jefferson death and accused the apartment of attempting to blame the victim by circulating the image. Speaking Monday for Fort Worth, Mayor Betsy Price called the firearm irrelevant. A gun is irrelevant. Atatiana was in her home caring for her 8-year-old nephew. Price said she was a victim and she was taken from her family in circumstances that are truly unthinkable. Price also apologized to Jefferson family and called for the community to support them. Krause said he now regrets releasing the image of the firearm. He said the department released a photo to show there was a weapon involved. However, we're homeowners in the state of Texas, and I can't imagine most of us, if we had thought we had somebody outside our house who shouldn't be, and we had access to a firearm, that we wouldn't act very similarly to how she acted. Krause could not say whether the woman was holding a gun. He said it was located just inside the window. Large crowd gathered outside Jefferson's home Sunday night for a vigil after early demonstration briefly stopped traffic on part of the Interstate of 35. Jefferson was a 2014 graduate of Xavier University in New Orleans and earned a bachelor's degree in biology. The university said. Mayor told the Star-Telegram that Jefferson was working in the pharmaceutical equipment sales and was considering going back to medical school. All right, so again, you heard that report saying now, right? They said that about releasing that image of the gun was just to let everybody know that there was a gun involved. Why would you do that when the initial reason for police coming had nothing to do about the gun. It was about welfare check, well-being check. As the mayor said, irrelevant. So why would the police chief feel the need to propagate that gun? Because again, they're selling that, right? You got to sell that because again, they're trying to find a way again, either to be not accountable, or we're talking about maybe this individual who's resigning, because again, resigning, and I probably didn't really explain that to the fullest, which is resigning again is so that later on, if the department that you work for still gives you, it's kind of like some people who don't want to be fired or give let's say, put it this way, a 2-week notice. Like some people believe in that, give a job a 2-week notice. So that way that when they call for reference that you still got good rapport with them and that they will still give you good, some kind of good recommendation, right? About what kind of employee you used to be. So if you resign, that's the same thing what they're doing with the police. So that means that whoever is chief or whatever will be able to come back and give you a good reference. But it's a lot of times when they resign, a lot of times they don't. But again, it depends on what kind of nepotism is working in here, right? Who kind of fraternization of family member you tied into. So the gun is trying to give a defense saying that she had a gun. Now, in this report here, if you heard it said that they found the gun inside the window. So that means that somebody who was by the window to find the gun inside the window, which means you had the gun. So when the gun fell, gives validation to that. But again, did the 8-year-old notice all that? You know what I'm saying? And once the scene and all that taking place, we don't know what was positioned, after the fact when everybody is taken out. And then you get what I'm saying? Because again, that happened on a Friday, Saturday. We're talking about Tuesday by the time we're finally hearing anything as to the name of the individual and so forth. So there was time to, we're going to get this set up. It was time because, again, you'll turn yourself in. We're going to give you a $200,000 bond. You're going to bail out for $20,000. Okay, it was a lot. And people tell them, don't give no testimony. You understand? There's a lot of stuff going on here. And so you're hearing this one, they even give the name of the boy. Normally when I do stories and it be, let's say, Caucasian people and they be underage, you don't get no name. Like I did the story about maybe a week ago, with a little girl in Florida who was arrested, taken to jail, fingerprint and all that. And they gave her first name, they didn't give her last name, but then they showed her mama had a last name. So put the two together, you get the person. But anonymity, when you Caucasian, you get nothing but an age. You don't get none of that, right? So they got Zion name out there, right? So Zion is out there. So those who in the community, Zion, so okay, so now Zion gonna be like, what I'm saying? It's all gonna fall on me. So it's gonna be 2 cops because now we're seeing 2 cops being mentioned, right? Now, both of them is present, and both of them supposedly have knowledge of what's taking place, but when it really happened, nobody knew what happened. Couldn't see, didn't know. I could just see the image, but I don't know if she had a gun or not, and he didn't never give no testimony, so now it's all about, Zion said he validated she had a gun, she was pointing out the window. There you go. There's a defense right there. Get it? There's a defense for it right there, regardless to what took place. So that's why we, Black Media, got to stay on and talk about these stories because, again, this one's going on. Joshua Brown, what's going on with that? That just done disappeared? Well, this is going to take take your eye focus off of that and start looking over here. It's like the hidden hand. They're going to do a magic trick. All right, poof, smoke over here. Now you're going to be looking over there, right? So now you got to be kind of looking at everything. So again, it's going to be a little while for that appeal for the Amber Geiger situation. That's going to probably be the end of all this that's taking place, right? So, as I said, they're setting it up. So they gave you the number. There's about 1,100 police officers in Dallas. 2/3 of that is white Caucasian. And then the other percent was Hispanic, but again, Latina Hispanic. You might as well just say that's white too, with the way they're doing the census, right? And so there's only about 110 black cops on the whole force. That's why that sister can come on there and say how she's scared when she see like she ain't a cop no more. And if she probably was a cop, it wouldn't even make a difference because again, you never know, right? So anyway, that's what they saying, right? So, you know, now I'm going to show you what a father said. Now, this is what the father said. Just to show, because I've seen some people sit out here and say, well, they're not going to, advocate or speak a lot on this because they say, well, they think that maybe it's going to be like what happened with the other case with the Botham Jean. Well, Mr. Jefferson let you know off the rip, he not like that. So let me show you this, and we'll be right back.
This is Atatiana Jefferson talking about what she loved most, medicine. Tonight, her father describes his daughter's death in one word: senseless. He talked only to CBS 11's Aaron Jones about what he wants to see changed in the Fort Worth Police Department immediately. And Aaron is live now in Fort Worth. Aaron.
Steve, Atatiana Jefferson's father is obviously devastated. He's still processing her death. Here outside her house, you can see candles and flowers. People have been stopping by all day long to pay their respects. Jefferson's father says she was very loved, and now something good has to come out of this. He's working on an impactful way to keep her memory alive.
Her mother called me yesterday morning. She said Tay was shot.
Marquise Jefferson waking up to learn his only daughter was dead.
I mean, it's senseless. My daughter was 28 years old. Had her whole life in front of her.
Around 2 a.m. Saturday morning, Fort Worth police arrived at Atatiana Jefferson's house for a welfare check after her neighbor called them concerned her front door was open.
And I don't have nothing against the neighbor. I mean, hey, if he sees something going over that house with my daughter, you need to call the police. You know what I'm saying? But it's the way the police acted.
In the body cam video, you see an officer walk through Jefferson's backyard to a bedroom window where she was standing.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands.
Not even a full second later, she was shot.
You got to know that there's somebody's daughter. Somebody loved her. And it was a better way. It didn't have to be like that.
Jefferson thankful for their final words.
I texted her, said I love her. And she texted me back, said I love you too.
The two shared a very special bond.
When she was growing up, I read to her a lot. I bought a lot of books. Ooh, she loved to read. She reads all the time. Her mother tell me she in there reading.
Reading fueled her passion for learning.
Hi, my name is Atatiana Jefferson, and I'm doing lab exercise 5.
Jefferson going on to get a pre-med degree from Xavier University. Currently, she was working in pharmaceutical equipment sales, saving up for medical school.
She had hopes, she had dreams, she had aspirations. We've lost them for no reason. I've seen many cases like this where you think that they would have learned from it.
I like this Bolton, John, G. I don't want no hug. That's my one and only daughter. I'll never forget this.
And Jefferson's father did bring up a donation page that was set up for his daughter. He says he was not made aware about this or even contacted about this, and that he will be paying for his daughter's funeral with his own money. Reporting live in Fort Worth tonight, Aaron Jones, CBS 11 News.
Aaron, thank you.
All right, so heard the father there, right? Father said he don't want no hug, right? Making that reference to what we've seen. A lot of people who have felt some kind of way after they seen the Botham Jean case. A lot of people are kind of torn because, again, they said based on what took place. But again, I guess it's the severity of your oppression right? The sickness that all of us have, difference of how certain people cope with it. Some people, again, it's all about Christianity and the Bible and so forth, and Jesus, and that's their kickstand. The other people would say, no, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? And so some people feel like that they don't want to say too much because, again, it may happen again. The family, again, is all hot and people talking about it and it seems like justice. But again, situation being set up. Chess is being played here. And I just want to bring out the fact that there's things that are being said. They are things that weren't said originally, that things are now being said, that again is going to come down to basically Zion is going to have to be, is he actually going to be testifying against his own auntie is what really comes down to. Think about that. Him testifying is not on behalf of his auntie. It's going to be on behalf of, Dean. His going to validate what Dean won't say now, but somehow the partner has kind of insinuated that later on he's going to say. So now it's going to be them two in the collaboration with this. And so will there be what people think it's going to be in the end? As much as what we see and how we feel and we look at it, we all can say that it was wrong, but is that what they're setting this up for? Something you got to think about, right? So let me show you this, right? Let me show you this. Well, matter of fact, you've seen this, you heard about it, right? I'll do this. Let me do this. And I'll do this behind that, right? Just in case somebody's sitting up in here. I apologize. I showed a little raggedy there because, again, I had some issues earlier. Seemed to be working. I've been doing some stuff in the background. So check this out. You probably remember this. I'll be right back.
Harming Black America. White supremacy and white nationalism is not a problem that is harming Black America. It is quite ironic that I'm the only Black American that's sitting here, and yet the people that called this hearing haven't asked me a single question about my experience. I think that probably points to what I say the larger issue is that Democrats come up with the problems, they come up with the solutions, and Black Americans are basically used as props for them to get out their narrative and to ultimately control our vote using fear tactics. I also found it quite hilarious that when asked for actual numbers, nobody here could actually provide them because it's not actually a problem in America or a major problem or a threat that's facing Black America. This is, again, just election rhetoric. This is, again, just an attempt to assault an administration that is doing all that they can to help Black America in every single regard, whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's talking about real issues like school choice, which should be implemented to conquer some of these illiteracy rates that is actually harming the Black community. And I think it's unfortunate that we have this many hearings on something that is so small in America, and we aren't having real hearings. I actually don't think the Democrats have completed a single day of real work since Donald J. Trump went into office. This has just been about attacking his administration day in and day out with things that do not matter. White supremacy and white nationalism is not a problem that is harming Black America. Let's start talking about putting fathers back in the home. Let's start talking about God and religion and shrinking government, because government has destroyed Black American homes, and every single one of you know that. And I think many people should feel ashamed for what we have done and what Congress has turned into. It's days of our lives in here, and it's embarrassing.
Ex-police chief charged with hate crime said Trump is last hope for whites. You know I'm going to say that again. Ex-police chief charged with hate crime says Trump is last hope for whites. This story was done September the 26th, 2019 out of the New York Post. And this is how it reads. Former New Jersey police chief who was being tried on federal hate crime assault charges used racial slurs, compared blacks to ISIS. Said President Trump is the last hope for white people, according to reports. I'm telling you, you know what? Donald Trump is the last hope for white people, because Hillary will give it to all the minorities to get a vote. Former Bordentown Police Chief Frank Nussera said, according to NewJersey.com, which cited a transcript displayed at a trial in Camden Federal Court this week. That's the truth, I'm telling you, he added. The star prosecution witness, Sergeant Nathan Rohr, an officer, testified that Nussera grabbed the head of a handcuffed black suspect like a basketball and slammed it into a metal door jam at a hotel. The impact made a loud thud, Rohr said, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. I immediately knew it was wrong. I knew I had an obligation to report it. This was an obvious excessive force, he added about the attack on the Trenton teen who had not paid a bill at the Ramada on Route 206. Nussera also was charged with civil rights violation and lying to the FBI in September 1st, 2016, an incident which prosecutors say involved excessive force and was racially motivated. He resigned in February 2017. Authorities said Nussera made racist remarks back at the police station that were secretly recorded by Rohr and played for the jury. One snippet captured Nussera saying, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to get to the point where I could shoot one of these niggers." Rohr, who said Nussera's racist remarks actually began several years earlier. Read from a note he said he wrote after the chief spewed the nigger word. He said Nussera was upset after the tires on a police car were slashed by a person who the chief suspected was black. "These niggers are like ISIS. They have no value. They should line them all up and mow them down. I like to be on the firing line. I could do it," Rohr quoted Nussera as saying. During his explosive testimony, the 16-year veteran did not make eye contact with former boss at the defense table. The case is unusual because Rohr broke the so-called blue wall of silence, according to experts cited by the Inquirer. His identity has been kept secret by prosecutors in their criminal complaint in October 2017, but it was eventually revealed in court documents filed by the defense. Under cross-examination by defense attorney Rocco Saperone, Rohr did not offer race as a possible motive. He told the jury of 7 women and 5 men, "I don't know why he did it." Saperone, who has questioned Rohr's motive in recording Nussera, suggested that there was a concerted effort to get his client off the force by cops dissatisfied with his overtime policies and disciplinary measures. The ex-chief also used police dogs to regularly intimidate African Americans, even bringing the dogs to high school basketball games and positioning the animal at the entrance of the gym while the department was providing security, according to the feds. On April 30, 2016, he was recorded on audio directing another officer to walk a police dog through an apartment complex to let these fucking monkeys lies see him. Let them see him. I don't care, according to the complaint. All right, so we're back. All right, so originally what I did is I showed you that was the article that came out after Candace Owen had went before the hearing, and she said what she said about how she believes that white supremacy and its tentacles and those who are participants of it are not having no effect on black folks. And she's contributing that it's about not having fathers in the home, better education, and so on. We who are BADOS, ADOS of this country, again, the long lineage, the foundational blacks of this, again, that is something that we would say. Now, some people may think that Candace Owens is cut from the same cloth, but I'm here to tell you she is not. And so, with that being said, again, she said she don't be the only black person who representing that and trying to tell, like, okay, okay, that's the political game. We get that. All right. But to say that how people say white nationalism, white supremacy, and how when you do the history of when you talk about Klan and how the Klan went in 3 stages and then it somehow just disappeared. Where did it go? Where did it go? Right? And so we're starting to see that, again, they came out with BIE. Remember that not too long ago for those who stay up on stuff. It was BIE, Black Identity Extremists, was trying to be implemented as a real serious problem in this country, like black extremity identity, again, black power, anything but black trying to be independent, self-sufficient, and all that is really detriment for some odd reason. It's like the scariest thing. And so they try to put that on the list as a terrorist. But they was like, hey, man, wait a minute. What are you talking about, man? Black, you might have somebody over here that got some rhetoric and stuff like that, but black folks ain't out here doing nothing, right? They might be talking, trying to galvanize, get together, be black economics and so forth. But when it comes to all this other stuff, no. So what ended up happening? Candace Owens had said when she went up there, and then the next day, that article came out with white nationalists were being now put on the domestic terrorist list. Now, where you going with this, Mr. Blunt? Now, check this out. With that being said, remember what BIE was about, saying that blacks, identity extremists, was going to who? Attack who? Police. Right? Attack police. And that they had to be on the outlook because they believed that based on all that was taken, it was a little hot season for a minute, where every time we was turning around, it was an issue with innocent person being black and something to deal with police. And especially what happened with the St. Louis situation, all that had transpired out there. So since you couldn't put us on that, right, and it seemed like this attack had started coming, then where is those who are hiding? Where are they at? Because then you seen the story come behind that is this individual, this Lucera, who again had a case where some teenagers were staying in a hotel and they was in a swimming pool. Management seen them there. Kind of one of them things, probably didn't come down and pay or whatever. So they called police on them, came, roughed them up, slam a man head up on the door jab and all this. They said a whole lot of stuff. Talking about, black folks is like ISIS. Again, saying black folks like ISIS. And if it was up to him, he would line us all up and he would be the first one to say he would do and mow us down, right? But this dude got brass. He ain't just in the uniform. He got brass on, right? So we've been seeing things lately that seem to be in the realm of people saying that, well, is this where it has transformed into? And this is why they know this is a problem, and this is why they can't really stop it, because they've been infiltrated from the inside. And they're in these positions, right? And so that's where we have to say, wait a minute, because a situation like that, if you just follow the steps, you could have avoided that whole situation that happened with Atatiana Jefferson. But now it look like, again, somebody was itching for a scratch. I want to get this off because, again, to be in the club, I need to bag me one, right? I got to bag me one. And so, anytime you in a precarious situation that seems to be something innocent, like a neighbor calling just on your welfare, black folks, you better think twice. calling them should be the last resort of last resort of last resort. Because something as simple as innocent as that, you're calling up somebody who, again, wears the uniform. And we can't say all. We're not going to say all. But we're going to say they're wearing the uniform, but you don't know in the internal spirit of the individual where they're coming from. And we know that certain people, again, if this person who's in the brass is speaking like that, he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Because matter of fact, what they did not disclose in the Amber Geiger situation, some of the stuff she was saying, something about they was doing a patrol at the Martin Luther King, and she was saying things, and with the pepper spray, and a whole bunch of stuff that was being said. Just like the police that was in Philadelphia, and all the stuff they're saying on social media and stuff like that. Right? So again, we have to say, well, where is this hidden element? And again, this domestic terrorist that this was put out by the Homeland Security. And these just regular individuals or these professional individuals? And that's why a lot of people are a little apprehensive about, dealing with situations, because they say, hey man, that's where they at now. It's possible. Most likely it is. So that's why we have to be like, hey, well, hold on, wait a minute. Neighbor might be doing the right thing. Maybe it would have been better if he went over there and knocked. Well, maybe he was scared to sell, right? Maybe he didn't want to go over there. So you think that you leave the job to those who are professional, that's what they do. But in the situation, she lost her life based on something that, again, he was doing a good neighbor, but it did not end up being that in the end. So some people saying maybe this is race soldiers, right? Maybe this was a race soldier, it was a situation. Again, some people are just not built to be in the position to be police officers, but they need a damn job. And then you in there, and again, all the stereotypes and stuff that you believe, and now you in the midst of the jungle that you believe, and every little grass moving and bush twitching, you scared. So maybe you don't supposed to be in there, right? They ain't made for that. But again, it's kind of like saying, I said the last show was that some of these people are just, they need a job, and they can't do nothing else. They said, well, go out there and patrol niggers. You go out there and patty the road with the niggers. So if you mess up over there, at least it's not on where we at, and I can get your ass out of my basement, maybe get a wife or some shit and get her away from me, right? But that's just, again, at our expense. So the point becomes, what Candace Owens said, her delusion of her understanding versus that what we know, and we ain't gonna tell what we heard, we're gonna tell you what we know, that then you said that, it came right out to show you don't know what you're talking about. That they understand that there's a problem, there's an issue here. And then now, did y'all hear today that what's his name? He died today. I got a picture. Cummins. Elijah Cummins died today, right? Elijah Cummins died today, right? And they're on the verge of trying to do what? Trying to do this impeachment inquiry, right? They're trying to do that, right? And I said some time back that, setting that up is just setting the precedent for this other thing that seems to be kind of like it's there, but it's one rears head. All they need is the opportunity. Well, if you get rid of their man, I think you will light that fire, right? And so people just got to be mindful out here about what's all going on. Again, that's just what it is. And, just something about putting on that uniform, right? Because I got this last story I'm going to do. Let me look out here, see if anybody said anything. I want to apologize. The show was a little raggedy in the beginning because I was going through a lot of stuff over here. Okay, so... Okay, let me see. I see I got the Yahya Abdul Kabir. Last time he spoke was you on now. So I must have been off for a while. I wonder where you came from. He came from Sharon Washington in the house. Was good, sister. Peace, brother and family. Long time no live chat with you. Never get notification. Something upon this one, so to speak. Yeah, I know this my show be raggedy a lot of times. And Furious God opinion, what's good with you as well. So let me show you something about this uniform, right? Now, a lot of times we put it in the black and white situation, right? We it's black folks, white, But this here, right? I seen this. I was like, wait a minute, man. See, everybody getting sick off this. Everybody is getting sick being around certain things. It just seems to permeate everywhere you go. So let me show you this one last story. And check this out. Let me show you this. This is going to trip you out a little bit. Hold on. New York Police Department cop points gun at waitress head in Queens karaoke lounge. Police sources. You know I'm going to say that again. NYPD cop points gun at waitress head in Queens karaoke lounge. Police sources. This story is coming to the New York Post, October the 13th, 2019. And this is how it reads. An NYPD officer has been charged with pointing his gun at two waitresses during a boozy night out with a sergeant at a Queens karaoke lounge, the Post has learned. Hyun Kim, 25, and Sergeant Jung Kim went to the Croron Avenue bar, the name of which was unavailable. Tuesday night, after getting off work at the 115th Precinct in Jackson Heights, police sources said one of the waitresses eyed the cop's weapon and asked if he was a gangster. The sources said, "No, I'm a cop. This is my boss," Hyun Kim allegedly responded. The sources said, and he then pulled out the weapon and racked it, dropping the magazine and scattered bullets on the ground in the process. Then, Hyun Kim, who believed to have been drinking, allegedly pointed the firearm at the waitress, the sources said. Startled, she rushed to report the incident to her boss. When the manager came out to talk with the two cops, Hyun Kim was allegedly aiming at the head of another waitress. The two Kims argued with the owner and eventually agreed to take off, the sources said. The sources said surveillance footage showed they left behind the magazines and bullets. One of the waitresses and manager reported the incident at the precinct station house. Hyun Kim, who due to earn $52,030 with the New York Police Department this year, according to public records, was arrested Saturday afternoon. He was charged with 2 counts of menacing, the NYPD confirmed Sunday. He was given a desk appearance ticket and will be in court October 28th for an arraignment hearing, said a spokeswoman for the Queen District Attorney Office. Both Hyun Kim and the sergeant, who makes $118,715 a year, according to public records, were suspended without pay, according to police and sources. Worker at one area, Sing A Long Bar, said he never heard of anything like that happening in the area before and called the incident a very serious problem. Want to know why they pointed their guns at the waitress? Why was the reason for that? Said J.H. Lim, who worked at Flower Karaoke. Doesn't make sense. If your life isn't in danger, why pull out your gun? See? Don't matter, do it. Let me go ahead and show you this one. All right. Retired Fort. All right. So we see there's a Chinese in the blue uniform, kind of like everybody else, right? You know, a close thing to the white man is the Chinese man. So him too doing the same thing. He putting gun his folks' head too, playing the same game. He get drunk too. Him too. He gun ho too. Gun ho. He gun ho too, right? So, what is it about putting on that uniform that makes certain individuals get the S on the chest like Superman, right? Now, again, as in the story said, the young man that said, he was like, man, he said, now I understand why you putting the gun if your life ain't in danger. But again, it was an intimidation tactic, right? So you have to ask yourself, we grow up and then we go to school and stuff. Like, you learn certain people who be bullies and stuff like that, right? And, or they was the one that was getting picked on by other people. And it just seemed like sometimes that some of these police officers are some of those dudes that now that you got a gun, you got the law behind you, you got the badge, you got camaraderie, you got fraternization, you got a brotherhood, you big bad mother. It's like coming up out of spots we come up out of. And there's certain families that come out of the neighborhood that had a big family, right? That family that had a big family had to have, 6, 7, 8, 9 brothers and sisters. You ain't fight them unless you're going to get all the rest of your family, right? Nobody really messing because you're going to have to fight all of them, right? That's kind of like how it is. They talking about gangs. Well, ain't no bigger gang than the civil servants, right? Ain't nobody bigger than them and more better than them and get the law to hide behind it. But it's just the fact that, again, it's not the fact that we're not saying we don't need them. We're just saying that, hey, some of this stuff ain't necessary. And Muggs sitting there pulling a gun to the waitress' head to intimidate her. They drunk to the mug. It could have went so many different ways. They so sloppy about it. They left the bullets and the rack in there too. So it was like, but these be the people who, again, when you call, you got to trust on, right? Now, again, I may do stories and pick out somebody. Well, that's not all. No, I'm not saying them. But again, the point that you can pick them out. And again, there's going to be some bad apples in the barrel. But again, this here is an incident that you don't hear about. You don't hear about Chinese and all this stuff. And you don't hear that. But I see, they on that same shit too. Because, a lot of time our people like to be like, well, white folks don't do that. We got to do like Jews. We don't see all these stories. Because again, it's kind of like a university. You ever notice that university got their own police? So when shit happen, it don't get out into the general or the local community or get on the news because they get to, encase it. Right? And that's the same thing with these other people with their other communities. They got Chinatown, Jewtown, and all these other German towns. That stuff don't get out to the, but it's only out because we has been designated as the consumer nation. We ain't got no 4 walls. We don't have that. So everything that happened to us, people can, prop it up, display it how they want to, spin it how they want to. So-called these institutions about how like they got defamation league and all that. We don't got all that. So we just have to go through the court system and figure out how it work at the end, whether you can get paid or you didn't get killed and all this other stuff. But see, they get the, seclude themselves over here. You don't get to hear that. So once in a while a story like that come just to show you that they got them issues too. But it means it's not as bad as I, because it'd be different if it was black cops doing that to black folks. They do happen, but a lot of times there's other people doing it as well. It's like a free fall. Anybody who got it can come over and do it if you in the vicinity of us, in proximity of dealing with us. But again, when talking about nationalists and supremacists and all this stuff, we have to ask yourself, when you do the history and look at the Klan, and there's 3 phases of them. And then somewhere after that, the 30s, 40s, and somehow the numbers just went from millions and down to like a couple thousand, about tens of thousands, right? Like, where they go? And we done had a couple presidents that's been them. I know they don't like to talk about that though, but there's been a couple presidents who were card-carrying members, right? And so then we kind of find out that you see the dude Frank Lusa again, he got bars and stripes. And he talking about what he want to do to black folks. He got ill will. Now, I just celebrated Columbus holiday. No, I didn't celebrate, but they just celebrated Columbus holiday. But there was an article that came out. I was going to do that. Maybe I'll do it on the next show. How Italians became white. And Columbus holiday got a lot to do with that. Because prior before then, they weren't considered that. Matter of fact, they was actually, sitting there mingling with us. But somehow, Everybody who was labeled like that was when they were Urban, they didn't have that white card. Actually, they don't want to sympathize. And then when they get the white card, now they want to act like they hate us with so much with vitriol. But you used to be just like us. Other fact that you don't got the skin like us. You was labeled like us, but now that you done crossed over and got your white card, yeah, you hate us with so much and you want to mow us down and kill us. But if we was just, again, that's just, again, something, again, you could be classified with it. But if we go on that bloodline, as somebody had said, if you shake the tree, a nigga gonna fall out your tree, no matter how white you try to appear. If I shake that tree hard enough, I bet I can find a nigga fall out your tree and be like, aha, I thought you was that, but you not. See, you been lying. But that's only because, again, it makes you feel good to have somebody underneath your feet. All right? So that's what it is, man. But again, we just have to stay, watching these stories because, again, time ticking. And again, he said that Donald Trump is the last hope for white folks. Now, he's brass police dude talking like that. He ain't the only one. What about all them that work with him? Now, the one dude that sat there and went in court with him, he recorded him because, again, there might have been some other stuff going on. You know how sometimes you can mix up one. We're going to use this to get rid of his ass. We don't like him. He good on that aspect, but other stuff we don't like him about. But we're gonna use this, and we know we can get him out of here with that. But prior to that, I was only one dude recording him, and they said, "Well, he broke the blue glass shield. He broke that." So anyway, that's just what it is. Again, it's not all so much about just sitting here and trying to berate, police, because again, sometimes you're gonna need them. But the point is, motherfucker ain't right. He ain't right. But again, we historically as black folks being in this country, history when it comes to the police and us is synonymous. When we was doing what we had to do based on our condition, he was right there with us. He just wasn't called that then. This is his evolution where he is today. And now it's seen it coming back with video because again, they say, well, you guys are trying to get out of our hairs and you're trying to be on your own and independent. Again, I done did a show where I talked about that, trying to be self-sufficient, trying to be about black economics and all that. That is a no-no. And so some people are feeling, again, this dude said this is the last hope. This is it. If he don't get it done, it can't get done no more. Why? How you feel like that? Wait a minute, man. We've been in the hole for, how come us feel like that? The game that's changing, that's hurting you is not even us. It's everything as you did not to deal with us. That's what your problem is, but somehow you want to look at them, you want to look at us. And it's just like, damn, man, come on. Anyway, that's what it is. Let me look back out here a little bit. Who else I got? I got a couple people. Let's see. Okay, what's good? Okay, that's it. That's all right. All right. So that's just what it is, y'all. And we just have to just be aware and mindful that, times is turning. Some people think it's time for the better, but it may not be. It may not be. Because somebody got an agenda and somebody is orchestrating this shit and somebody playing chess and somebody poking and prodding. Because again, as I was saying, if they went ahead and classified them as home domestic terrorists, but they in the position of that, which again, where black people getting fed up, then they trying to ignite the fact that BIE and make it real. See, they trying to attack police when really it's the same motherfucker that's classified as this, but he hiding behind that. Do you understand? Do I need to say that again? If they classify, said Homeland Security said that this one is, he's now considered this, but his ass got a profession and job that really is the motherfucker rolling around in your neighborhood doing all the shit that making you trying to respond to him. Then now to say, look, BIE is real. Look, they trying to come at us, but really it's your ass. Yeah. All right. So again, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out here today. Come check out the show today. Again, I want to apologize for the beginning. It was a little raggedy because I was trying to do something at the same time and I forgot I was doing that. So I apologize for that, but I want to thank each and every one of you for while you're out here. And again, I don't have no specific time because sometimes I try to come at this time, I can't get in, something go wrong. So I guess you just have to be mindful. Again, as Miss Washington says, Notifications are sporadic. They come and go when they want to. They can't get you notified and cannot be notified. So, but it is what it is. So again, I'm going to thank again. Go ahead and hit that music for me, sir. Can you hit that music for me, sir? I know we're a little slow over here. Yeah, I know there'll be a lot of stuff going on over here at the same time. A lot of people don't get that. So like, now look at that. See, look at that. Good Lord, man. Come on. Can you get the music for me, sir? It won't go on? Yeah, I know. There you go. Hit it. Anyway, with or without it. Again, want to thank you for your participation in your presence. I want to thank each and every one of you, especially my subscribers in the house that should be in there. Again, fam, thank you for your participation. Again, when you see one another, greet one another. What's good, brother? What's good, my sister? If you can't do that much, at least give the universal nod. We got to take all this envy, jealousy, strife, and anger up out of us and understand that we only got each other. Yeah, understand that. Understand the team and the uniform that you own. And yes, some of us gonna have allies. But those who got them allies, you better ask them allies 2 questions. 1, when shit and if shit get hot, are you still gonna be in the frying pan when shit jump off on us? 2, have you ever heard of John Brown? Is John Brown real, or that's something that white folks just told us to make us think that somebody white went all out to help black folks? I know they be talking about them Quakers and all that too, but they had some of us enslaved too as well, right? And gotta ask them, they make him seem so damn crazy. When you talk about John Brown, they say that was one of the craziest white men ever. I ain't seen a movie on John Brown yet, other than the fact Django was something similar to it. John Brown is like, he was a crazy white man. We don't know what the hell's wrong with him going on, like trying to go against us like that. But is that real? That's what you gotta ask them. I understand we're at a time and day where some people are looking for our demise. So it is incumbent that we as BADOS, ADOS stay mindful, vigilant, cautious, and high spirit. Again, your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this has been the Black Minds News Report. To the next show. Peace, love, and to the next show. To the next show.